I'd like to call this meeting to order. Can we have the roll call, please?
Yes, ma'am. Dr. Bofi?
Present.
Dr. Bofi is present. Mr. Davis? Mr. Davis?
Here.
Mr. Davis is present. Ms. Edmonston?
Here.
Ms. Edmonston is present. Mr. Garvey?
Here.
Mr. Garvey is present. Ms. Holloway?
Here.
Ms. Holloway is present. Dr. Jones?
Present.
Dr. Jones is present. Ms. Lewis is not in attendance. Ms. Orange Jones is not in attendance. Mr. Rock? Mr. Rock is present. Dr. Thomason?
Present.
Dr. Thomason is present. Ms. Vautier?
Here.
Ms. Vautier is present. And Mr. Bowman?
Here.
Mr. Bowman is present. You have quorum.
What's our first item?
Your consent agenda is ready for your approval, adding items 5.1, 5.2, and 6.2.
Is there a motion? Thank you, Ms. Boche. Mr. Rock? Is there any opposition? Hearing none, motion passes. What's our next item?
Your first item is on page 4, item 3.1. Consideration of a report regarding the uniquely Louisiana education resources presented by Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser. The recommendation is to receive.
Ms. Edmondson, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Davis. Thank you very much. Lieutenant Governor, I understand you have a staff to introduce us to, and then we'll have a presentation. Is that correct?
Yes, thank you. Yes, thank you very much. Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to present this to you today. We're here to ask for your support of the Unique Louisiana. This is an educational program that can be found at uniquelouisiana.org. It's an educational program that provides valuable educational resources for teachers and students. The Uniquely Louisiana, which is very appropriate as it contains not only educational materials, but unique elements of all the culture of Louisiana. Every department of the Department of Culture and Recreation and Tourism has put into this program to make it the best it can be and offer these educational opportunities for the students through the teachers in the schools. This project was funded by the Atchafalaya National Heritage Area under the Department of Culture, Recreation, and Tourism within the Lieutenant Governor's office. And this morning, we're going to present that program to you. Thank you so much.
My name is Danny Bellinger. I'm the Director of Education, Arts Education and Accessibility for the state of Louisiana. We're here to present Uniquely Louisiana. We'd like to thank the Lieutenant Governor for his support of this project. We'd also like to thank the Atchafalaya National Heritage Area who helped fund the project for us with assistance from the Department of Parks. We're here today to present Uniquely Louisiana, as the Lieutenant Governor mentioned. We'd also like to thank all the CRT partners and the BESE board for allowing us to present today. This project is a partner collaboration with all CRT, Culture, Recreation, and Tourism partners. Uniquely Louisiana was designed as a portal to share educational resources that the department has compiled over the last several years. We found that there was a problem with us being able to send out the information from all our partners for the educational resources that we have been providing for the last several years. And going to a web-based philosophy was the way we needed to go, so we digitized everything, put it into a database, and made it accessible on the web. So this was an opportunity for us to share with teachers and students across the state. We have a very rich cultural heritage, so we were hoping with these resources to share what makes Louisiana special. So as you can see, the Uniquely Louisiana is a portal to explore the Louisiana educational resources within cultural recreation and tourism. There are over 200 resources which Maida will address. It's a searchable database for teachers and students. With the over 200 educational resources, you're able to search through the database through keyword searches or through things that you'd be interested in, through lesson plans, grades, grade-ish grades, anything of that nature. It's a resource for teachers, so teachers could find lesson plans or things, student activities, things that they can do in their classroom. They could pull it straight off the web, they could print them, they could do whatever they'd like to do. It's a resource for students. There's a lot of information in there from the Louisiana Folk Life program and other programs, archaeology, that students could find helpful for maybe things that they're doing in class, if they're touching on Louisiana resources or anything that they're doing in their student work. And also there's Louisiana Fun Facts, which is over 200 fun facts from Louisiana that we rotate out daily that could be shared with students or with the teachers. We're also looking at this possibly as a cultural tourism piece, where as visitors come to our state, we have a lot of our parks and national areas documented in the database, so people could, before they come to visit, they can research them. And it is mobile friendly, so while you're on your phone, if you're visiting a state park, you can pull up information about that state park, Chafalaya, or the Poverty Point. So we're very excited about this. I'm going to turn it over to Maida Owens now.
I'd like to share with you how it actually works. There are two ways that adults would use it. First, if you want to put in your grade level that you're looking for, whether it's lesson plans, field trips, games, activities, or the subject area, which is at the top of the screen. But if you know what you're looking for, you're looking for something specific, let's say Poverty Point, you put in the keywords Poverty Point, and that generates a list. Well, each one of these, when you click Find Resources, it generates a list. And there you'll see a list that looks like this. You get a description of the resource, and if you click the title, it will either download it directly or go to a web page with information about the resource. Now, students can also use this, and homeschoolers, or but with specifically a youth-oriented approach. And there you can also search for keywords, or you can explore topics such as exploring art, history and culture, people and places, science and nature. And by the way, this strategy, we modeled it after the Smithsonian's. We had to adapt it, of course, but the general strategy was based on the Smithsonian's search engine. Okay. These are all the agencies within CRT, and so just to give you an idea of what's in it, the Chafalaya National Heritage Area has quite a few resources, but we also created scavenger hunts for youth to be able to explore them. But you can find trail guides to state parks, exhibit guides from state museums. The state library has the gumbo of lessons, their lesson plans. I think there are almost 100 of them. Then the Louisiana Folk Life program, which is the program that I administer, created Louisiana Voices Educator's Guide, and that provides links to how to use our cultural resources in classrooms. We worked with the Department of Ed to develop that over about a 10-year process. We're adding resources. We already know of a few that agencies have developed. So when we add them, we'll send out notices by email to those who want to sign up. So there's a place to stay in contact. Okay. So that's basically it. If you have any questions, and then how to contact us.
Board members, do you have any questions? Mr. Garvey?
I don't have a question, but I did want to mention that I wanted to commend your office. Took a group of Boy Scouts recently to the Tigfaw State Park, and they have a tremendous education facility there, and it was just a joy to go there, and the boys loved it, and I'm looking forward to going back. So thank you for keeping that facility in such good condition.
Thank you very much.
Dr. Lott.
Ms. Edmiston?
I was just going to say, this is very exciting to me, to delve into history of Louisiana. I just think it's, I don't know why we haven't done this before, Billy, probably because you haven't been Lieutenant Governor.
Well, it's a great staff that is so passionate about
Yes.
educating the children and seeing that they can see all the great treasures we have in Louisiana, and working with the state parks through the educational programs, getting kids outdoors. We just started a new bass trail where kids can log on the fish they catch at each of the state parks. And I'm glad to see you taking advantage of the educational things that the parks do. So we've got a lot of great people that are passionate about it.
Sounds wonderful. Thank you so much for your hard work.
I do. I want to thank you, Lieutenant Governor Billy, and your staff. The educators in the state will be much appreciative of this to assist with their curriculum and their teaching, and also for the knowledge of Louisiana. Thank you.
Thank you.
Superintendent?
I'm sorry, Dr. Jones. I just wanted to say, as an old history teacher, the first day of school, you know, they gave us a textbook and a roll book, and that was pretty much the extent of all the materials and so forth we had. It's a wonderful world we live in today where we can go on there and get these fantastic resources and do the things we do. And I appreciate how much effort you put into it.
Thank you.
I wanted to highlight, Dr. Bofi, and to the members, the Lieutenant Governor's support also of dual language immersion schools, which the Codeville organization and the Lieutenant Governor's office have been very supportive of. He and I were in Point Capee Parish 6 months ago, Lieutenant Governor, for a ceremony to announce an expanded school that was going all immersion, and I look forward to many other of those announcements, and I appreciate your office's support, Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you. I had a chance on our tourism trip to France. I invited all the immersion students that were over there studying to lunch, and to hear the experiences these kids are having, living with families over there, teaching their kids English, and learning not only the French language, but their way of life, their culture. These kids are coming back to Louisiana to teach our children, and they're coming back with such learning experiences in the French culture. I was blown away at this lunch. These kids are just incredible ambassadors for Louisiana, and are excited about coming back and sharing all their life experiences in France, living with these French families. So it is an incredible program, and to go over there and visit with these children and see it firsthand, it gets you really excited about the talent and youngsters that we have here in Louisiana.
Mr. Rock?
That's great, Lieutenant Governor. Back in the 70s, I had the Codeville program in my school, and that was a wonderful, wonderful program back in Natchitoches Parish, and sometimes after 76. But that's great. I'm glad to hear that we still have, involved.
Thank you.
So, lots of things. One, my father-in-law came to Louisiana to be a teacher in the Codeville program, but two, I was a Louisiana history teacher. There's a neighborhood, in my neighborhood school, there's a 7th and 8th grade social studies job opening. Paired with these resources, I think I'm about to face a crisis in terms of making a decision. You guys have done an incredible job. I'm going to ask that our staff make a commitment to help communicate these through our social media networks, and I'm going to ask my fellow board members who are on social media to also communicate these resources out, because I think that's the important thing, is that we help people understand what's available and what's there. I was able to use the print documents when you all were creating print documents, and had wonderful lessons on Poverty Point and various Louisiana destinations. But we appreciate your commitment to continuing to promote our culture, and thank you for being here today.
Thank you so much.
Yes. Board members, before we go on, I want to take a minute of personal privilege to recognize a group of educators that we have here today. These are the lead fellows with the Stand for Children's Lead Fellow Program. If you all would stand up, please. Yes. So they've been studying education policy for the last year, and have also been meeting with policymakers to help elevate the teaching profession. And I am so proud of them, because I know that this requires extra time and commitment on their part. I think you all will recognize some of these educators. They have been before us and participated on our various task force, and we have our State Teacher of the Year who is even part of the group. So thank you all so much for the time that you're taking. I think that helping people to understand the profession is really important. So we appreciate you advocating for students. Thank you so much. Is the rest of the agenda this much fun? What's our next item? No, we received. We're good.
Your next item is on page 12, item 3.2, consideration of a request submitted by Ascension Parish School Board, a local education agency, for waiver of policy contained in Bulletin 741, Louisiana Handbook for School Administrators due to the effects of the federally declared disaster, Louisiana Severe Storms and Flooding, DR 4277, submitted by the State Superintendent of Education. The department recommendation is to approve the waiver regarding compulsory attendance and Carnegie credit for the 2017 spring semester for Sanoma High School and Dutchtown High School.
So moved. Ms. Boche, second by Mr. Rock. Is there any discussion of this item? Board members? Do we have any public comments? Ms. Edmondson, did you have a motion to make?
I do, please, and thank you.
Wait, let me get clarity from staff about what I should be doing here. Okay, so it's separate. All right, we'll take this motion first, and then we'll take your item separate. Okay. Board members, do you need any context for this item? No. All right. We don't have any comment cards, and so is there any objection? Hearing none, motion carries. Ms. Edmondson?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I'd like to, everyone has a copy, by the way, just to follow along. Thank you. I move that the board direct the state superintendent to provide as quickly as 2016-17 test results and analyses are available, an update with regard to the 16-17 test scores of students enrolled in schools impacted by the August 2016 flooding disaster, and to identify any aggregate results that would appear to be misaligned with expected performance based on historical trends, and to recommend any actions needed to ensure the validity of such results used for school and district accountability purposes.
So we have a motion by Ms. Edmondson and a second by Ms. Voce. Is there any discussion on this item? Ms. Edmondson, would you like to provide any background?
None other than I just believe that in my district for sure we have had some serious impacts in our school systems of the flooding, and I think this is a very proactive way to make sure that if there is for some reason consequences that we as a board would take a look if it's called to our attention. Thank you.
Board members, do you have any questions or comments? Do you have any objection? Hearing none, motion passes. What's our next item?
Your next item is on page 15, item 4.1, consideration of early childhood education as a jumpstart graduation pathway. The department recommendation is to approve.
So moved.
Mr. Davis, a second by Dr. Thomason. Is there any discussion on this item? Do we have any comment cards? Yes, Ms. Boche?
I'm glad to see this pathway coming to us for approval. I would hope it's just the beginning of looking at one for pre-K through 12 teachers. I realize this is early childhood. It does not require a degree per se. It is a different certification, either an associate degree, CDA, but to be expanded upon to provide a pathway for the teaching profession in the high school. And I know that some of these advanced credentials could be worked out through a certifying exam like Praxis or something like that. So hopefully that this is a foundation to build on to look to go to the next step, if you could. Superintendent White, see that maybe we talk a little bit more extensively on that with the Jumpstart staff.
I'm coming around, Ms. O'Shea.
You're coming around, I hope.
Anything else? All right, is there any objection? Hearing none, motion passes. What's our next item?
Your next item is on page 30, item 4.2, consideration of the 1881 Institute of Technology as a course provider for the Course Choice Program. The department recommendation is to approve beginning with the 2017-2018 school year.
I need a motion.
So moved.
Dr. Thomason?
So moved.
Thank you. A second, Mr. Rock? Do we have any comment cards? Is there any discussion? Is there any objection? Hearing none, motion passes. What's our next item?
Your next item is on page 38, item 6.1, consideration of revisions to Bulletin 118, statewide assessment standards and practices regarding kindergarten entry assessments. The department recommendation is to approve as notice of intent.
I need a motion. Thank you, Ms. Holloway. Second, Mr. Rock. Do we have any comment cards? Board members, do you have questions or comments? Do you have any objections? Hearing none, motion passes. What's our next item?
Your next item is on page 41, item 6.3, consideration of revisions to Bulletin 102, Louisiana Physical Education Content Standards regarding the adoption of Louisiana Physical Education Standards. Additional backup has been distributed. The department recommendation is to approve as notice of intent.
Mr. Rock moves, and a second from Ms. Holloway. Thank you very much. We have a presentation, so we are going to start with Kathy Hill. We can also call up Lynn Williamson, Gigi Jonas, Kelly Simonton, Rachel Andrus, and Chuck Duncan. Is there a PowerPoint or is it just comments? Okay, it's not PowerPoint. Thank you. I'm sorry about that. I understand Ms. Hill needs an extended amount of time, and then for others with a public comment, we do 3 minutes. Okay? John?
May I just note also, Mike, you might want to come down and sit behind us. Mike Como on my team will be fielding questions as he was a liaison to the process.
Yes, go ahead. Introduce yourself for the record, please. Let's get the mic straight. Is the green light bright? Okay, try that.
There we go. Okay.
Pull it close.
Thank you. My name is Kathy Hill. I am an adjunct faculty at LSU, retired from there, and also involved with the Governor's Council for Physical Fitness and Sport and the State Physical Education Association. Okay. First of all, would like to thank you all for the opportunity that we have had to work on this and to complete our task. Also would like to thank Michael Como, who has kept us on task and not let us get too far astray. But I've been asked to just basically talk about the process that got us here today. Michael and Lynn Williamson and I met to get an overview from him about the process and the work ahead. We identified highly qualified K-12 teachers, administrators, and college university faculty members in the pedagogy area. We contacted them and invited them to serve on the committee. Some had to decline because they were either coaching basketball, and that was January, February, in the heat of their season, and couldn't get away, and other teachers had to decline because they just couldn't get release time from their school. We had a few holes in our group, and so we asked the committee members who had agreed to serve if they knew others that might be willing to serve, and from there we were able to fill up our group. We were satisfied that our group represented all areas of the state and all levels of teaching, and we set an initial meeting date, and Michael explained the process to the entire group. After our first 4-hour face-to-face, we looked at other states, we looked at best practices, and our group decided basically on 2 things: that the document must be easy for teachers to negotiate as far as format and organizational structure, and that one cluster should build upon the next. Our new document would also be in line with national trends and best practices. We agreed to go from 7 standards to 5, and they would reflect evidence-based practice, developmental appropriateness, emphasize goal setting, self-regulation, and more autonomy as students get older. We organized into 4 committees prior to that first meeting. Each committee consisted of K-12 teachers, college, university faculty, and in some cases individuals from other organizations. There was an elementary group that addressed 2 clusters, the K-2 and 3-5, the middle school 6-8, and the high school 9 through 12, and an overall committee that developed the introduction, rationale, glossary, and verified cited documents. We had 4 face-to-face meetings as a group where we shared our progress and critiqued each other's work. Again, these meetings were about 4 hours, but at other times, different groups got together and met within their group at a designated site or via email or any way that they felt they could accomplish the task. After our 4th large meeting, each committee sent Michael their final draft. Everyone proofed all 4 sections and sent comments to all, and we made appropriate editing changes. These documents were sent out for public review and comments. Documents were also sent to 3 independent reviewers, and their comments, edits were also considered. The standards that we are presenting to you are very similar to the previous standards. The new Standard 3 combines Standard 3 and 4 of the old standards, and the new Standard 4 is the old 5 and 6 combined, and then the 5th standard was the old number 7. These streamlined standards will be easily recognizable to teachers and maintain the current focus on motor skills, movement patterns, application of movement concepts, health-enhancing physical education, and assessment strategies currently used by physical education teachers. The committee felt strongly that they wanted the students of Louisiana to be physically literate and to be able to move with confidence and competence. We want them to be able to take ownership in their personal wellness, not just in the K-12 setting, but for a lifetime. We also want them to be able to recognize the numerous opportunities to achieve this state of well-being and not focus on barriers. We are confident this document will produce what the committee has intended, and we thank you for your time and interest. And I guess questions now, or I don't know if the other committee member should.
I think probably best to hear from the panelists and then ask questions. Yeah.
Okay.
My name is Lynn Williamson. I'm supervisor for health, physical education, and athletics for the East Baton Rouge School System, and I'm also executive director of our state Health and Physical Education Association. I served on this committee as well. We're very positive that these standards meet the guidelines, and we are excited and thank you for your support.
I'm Gigi Jonas. I'm retired after teaching physical education K through 12 for 45 years. I now conduct PE workshops. We have one through our state organization on Truly Fitness, where we teach activities all over the state to teachers who don't attend our conferences.
check your mic and see if the light is on?
No.
Give it a second to come on. That one.
My name is Rachel Andrews. I'm at LSU Unis. I'm an assistant professor there. I teach future elementary teachers how to teach PE, whether in the classroom, whether in the, so I'm excited with these new standards. We're more up to date with other states in our country. So I feel it's very appropriate, and I thank you for your support.
My name is Chuck Duncan. I'm a full professor at the University of Louisiana in Lafayette. I work directly with teachers in our parish, Lafayette Parish, at the elementary level primarily, or the faculty work with the secondary level. I teach both classroom and physical education teachers on how to teach development the appropriate physical education. All I can say is that without helping children in our schools, not occur. Physical education gives them the knowledge and skills to develop their health and optimal ability.
Hello, my name is Kelly Simonton, and I teach in the physical education teacher education program here at LSU in Baton Rouge. I served on the committee, and in particular, I served on the secondary 9 through 12 standards. I support these standards, and I hope that you all will too. As many of the members have noted, PE has evolved. We're an important piece of the academic field and in the schools, and with the high obesity rates and with some of the skills that the students are coming out of schools lacking, these standards help alleviate some of the stress. And I think as a teacher educator, it's the importance that we can relay what our future teachers should be able to do for our students. And the streamline of these, there's a lot of inclusivity so that anyone throughout the state has the opportunity to achieve those standards. And I think this is the right step for achieving some of those goals. So thank you for your time.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Appreciate that. Your comments. Any board comments? Yes, Dr. Jones.
First, I want to commend you. I happen to be a member of a national organization called Mission Readiness. I don't know if you've ever heard of Mission Readiness, but it's an organization of retired admirals and generals who advocate physical readiness in schools. And the reason that they do is that, according to some recent data, over 60% of the folks coming out of high school and who are of military age cannot pass the physical requirements to get into the military. And so it's become a real national problem for the military in that respect. So I really applaud you for that. But I have to end this comment on a little bit of a humorous note. About 65 years ago, I was in elementary school and taking our physical education and so forth. I noticed in every standard here you have a thing that says, lastly, human target games, that is dodgeball and drills that promote aggressive behaviors by attacking and overpowering other humans are not permitted. I got to tell you, dodgeball and Red Rover were the only things that we had, and all my memories of elementary physical education are evolved around that. I guess I wouldn't be able to make it today.
Well, I would say, as you pointed out, that was 65 years ago.
You don't have to point that out again.
I graduated from high school in 1968, and I loved dodgeball.
I did too.
I was an athlete, and I wasn't getting hit in the head and going to throw out the targets to be aimed at in high school. So for those kids that are overweight and awkward, dodgeball is kind of a fighting activity.
Yeah, I was being facetious. I wasn't that much of an athlete either, but
thank you, John.
Appreciate it.
You're lucky you didn't have physical education. I did not in Arkansas. If you got to 7th grade, you made the basketball team and got your physical education.
That's kind of like it was with us too. The physical education for us was recess. And it was basically roll the ball out there and figure out what to do with it.
Thank you, Dr. Jones. Yes, Dr. Bofi.
So I understand to some people the dodgeball thing might be a laughing matter. It will not be a laughing matter in my household, and my child will learn about the NOI process very quickly and have God only knows how many fourth graders here as soon as this comes back up, if we don't do something about the way this statement reads currently. So I have some questions for you. I hear you say we certainly don't want kids to be a target. I guess, and board members, let me point you to what I'm talking about. If you go to section 901, so it's towards the end, and it's item D. So section 901, item D. And read the statement about how we would be prohibiting dodgeball. It's very strongly worded, and I'm wondering if we could come up with some lighter wording or another way to approach this. I certainly don't want any child to be put in a position to where they feel like they're a target, so I appreciate you sharing that perspective. What I need to understand is how strongly you feel about this, and if there is a way for us to find a compromise on it. So we'll start with that question for you.
I think there's definitely a way to compromise on the wording. Our intent is that in a physical education class, there are probably 600 ways that you could teach children to throw and catch and dodge that don't involve a target. That's not saying they can go out in recess and they can organize a game of dodgeball or kickball in 30 seconds, much quicker than any of us well-oiled teachers could ever, get a game going. But we just don't want it to be the game du jour, day in and day out. We're concerned about bullying. We're concerned about children that get unduly picked on for whatever reason. And so we're just trying to make a statement in that regard, but I certainly think there are ways that we can word it so that we're not banning, putting you in a position where you're banning something that might be controversial, but we just don't see it included as an educational kind of lesson that they know how to play that game anyhow.
One of the major problems with dodgeball and many other elimination type activities is that the children that are eliminated most quickly and almost always first are the awkward and overweight children who don't have the skills or physical abilities to avoid being hit.
Turn the other mics off.
Okay, so generally, when children are eliminated from physical activity, whatever the game is, they are the ones that need to be the most physically active typically, and they're the first ones eliminated. So dodgeball is typically viewed as an elimination game in addition to the human targeting. We're not saying that the schools and the children can't play it. For example, at recess, where children voluntarily participate in dodgeball activities, we're not saying that that can't be done. We're just saying it shouldn't be a primary focus in an academic program such as physical education should be.
I actually have a problem with that because I would prefer that children be supervised closely. And so, I'm like realistically thinking about what they do at recess compared to what they do in a PE setting where there's fewer children and then better ratios. And so I think that we may be able to achieve what you're looking for and what I'm looking for by possibly some language around children being able to choose another activity instead of dodgeball. What it sounds like you don't want is children forced in a situation where time after time they're eliminated, right? And so that's what I hear you saying. I'm going to ask the staff to work on that language for us.
Definitely the use of soft foam type balls that prevent children from being hurt is one way that some educators have approached it. Also changing the targeting areas and teaching children. So there are some areas for compromise. It's just the emotional security of children is our concern, and with the hope I'm not, being inappropriate, but in many schools where they used to play dodgeball with the intent of hitting kids, in the head or groin area, the game was called War or Smear the Queer, and so that kind of dictates the tenor of the emotional.
Yeah, that's absolutely inappropriate, and if we hear of anybody using especially the second thing that you said, we're going to take some action.
That was a quote.
What I would say is that I would ask staff to get us some language together real quick, because it sounds like you guys have some specific things you want to achieve that would still allow our children to play dodgeball, but that we have expectations. I mean, even when you were talking about getting hit in the head, the reason I want us to think more about this being something that happens in PE is because the PE teachers that teach my son have very specific requirements about what's allowed. And also use the soft foam balls instead of things that might hurt kids. So I was getting really nervous, fellow board members, that we were going to have a huge issue about this, but it seems like we can get some language together pretty quickly to get this solved. I really hate to make a big deal out of it, because I want you to know that I agree with you. We've got to figure out a way to make our state healthier, and appreciate your dedication to that in your careers, and also your hard work on our behalf, because this is certainly not something I could write. So thank you so much, and I don't want this one particular issue to take away from all of the wonderful things that you're doing for our educators and our students. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other board members?
Yes, ma'am.
Comment, Ms. Evans?
I also commend you as a committee. You've done very good work, and we're thankful that we have you. I'm a little curious. I know there were teachers, teachers who actually teach kids in PE that were on the committee. What percentage did they make up of the committee? You probably said it and I missed it. I'm sorry.
I think maybe in your packet that there was a slide presentation we were originally going to do, and it might be the second or third sheet in the packet that lists all the committee members.
Okay.
That was your handout. Our public school teachers, that they had to take 4 days to come here. A lot of them just could not get off another day to come today.
That's what I was thinking was the reason. Yeah.
We had to work around them. In fact, what we did is twice we met late in the afternoon, and then other times we met in the morning so that people could get off and get on. And that was a big concern, because we wanted active people, on the committee. And but that's why basically they're not here today.
But we did have a lot of input from the PE teachers.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. To Dr. Boffey's point as well, I think to her point, I'm just concerned that from high up we dictate what kids and teachers do. I personally think that it would be a local issue, and it would be, again, to her point, teacher supervision that would keep some of this at bay. I would not want to see us ban dodgeball or Red Rover. I mean, I am just as old as Gary, and I just don't want to see that happen. But I do understand where you're coming from. But I think, again, maybe some change of language, that if we could get together with you, so that we could keep some of this kind of left to the locals that would solve the problem, but yet not dictate, can or can't do whatever. But I do understand that you are looking for the child who is vulnerable, and for that I appreciate you.
You're welcome. And one thing about physical educators, we are very amenable to change, because sometimes we can walk in the gym or the field and it's pouring rain or whatever, and we got to change our lesson plan. So we will certainly be glad to work with the staff and do whatever needs to be done.
Thank you for your cooperation.
I think we could add some supplement to that, saying if you are going to play dodgeball, here are some of the things we recommend, like a softer ball, only hitting on the leg.
Absolutely.
Or if a child is eliminated, if they catch a ball out of bounds, they can come back in and play.
Right, very good. Because I was just thinking, if that is something that's dictated in PE, rule-following boys are going to think, well, we can't do that at PE, at recess, when really they could have a friendly game and there will be a teacher supervising what they do. So just kind of don't want to cut that out, Thank you so much.
I have to ask, are there any other really strongly worded statements that I should attend to before we take a vote on this?
I think that's the most controversial thing in there.
Okay.
If it's controversial. We didn't mean it to be controversial. We were trying to do what we thought was best
I appreciate that.
for the
Yeah,
children.
I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
We do. I think we do understand that, and we appreciate that.
So, board members, if it is okay with the maker of the motion and the person who made the second, we're going to mark this as a read, and then different language will come back to us tomorrow. Who made the motion? Mr. Rock has stepped away. Ms. Holloway, is that okay with you? That's fine. Okay. Staff, do we need to do anything else relative?
No, we're good.
Okay.
I'll record it with a read of it.
Okay, so that means we'll look at the language as a board again tomorrow. Board members, are there other questions or comments that you have on this particular item? All right. Yes, sir.
I just want to say thank you all, because I know that physical education is something that a lot of kids don't take they don't think it's important, but it is, and I know in high school especially they look over it. So thank you for these new standards, and hopefully that helps.
That's Mr. Bowman. He is our student representative on the board. Board members, is there any objection to the motion? Hearing none, motion passes. What's our next item?
That concludes your agenda.